So, I'm sitting here about to do, or was meant to be sitting here doing a taster on this beer for the end of a grain to glass video. But, as for reasons you're going to find out, I've changed where I'm going. So, anyway, before we get into this beer and why things have gone astray, pear-shaped, to shit, whatever term or phrase you want to put at it, let me give a quick shout out to Little John's Patreons. Cheers guys for all your support. Adam Glover, Michael Green, 2 newest subscribers, thank you for your contribution. It's a link down the bottom if you're interested in Patreon. If you're subscribed to the channel, thank you. If you're not, hit the subscribe button down there at the bottom and you ring the bell, you get notified when there's a new video, you don't miss anything. And if you like what's going on, give us a big thumbs up. So, this is a beer that, to a large degree, I had said I would never brew again. Or a style of beer I said I'd never brew again. Kveik Ale. But I did decide to brew it again because I had the space here at the time. I wanted to knock out had space to knock out a quick brew. I'd never done a Kveik properly at proper elevated temperatures up in that mid 30s where you're meant to do it. Now I'm talking Voss here, the original Kveik strain, not in the newer versions, the original Voss, which is what most people generally are referring to when they talk about Kveik yeast. That's what most people. Now, I'm using this yeast, Bluestone Bergen. Now, pack swollen, not because it's been smacked or anything. This pack was given to me when I was down at Kveik at the start of November, and it had done that in the packet. Bluestone saying that's not a problem, it's not an issue, and I'm not concerned about it. This is sealed, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. It was blown. It had already blown up in the shop. So when I was down, I got a few other things. They gave me the packet because they couldn't sell it. I had it sitting here for a while, never got around to using it. Finally, okay, I'm going to do this properly. And then I squeezed myself on time and didn't leave myself time to do a starter with the yeast, which is ideally what I wanted to do. But in the end, I didn't. I thought, okay, Kveik doesn't mind running an under pitch and all the rest of it. So I thought I'll go for it. I'll just dump this in. So what I did was I did a batch, and if I didn't click on shit I didn't want, that would be helpful. Oh, fuck, you go away. For Christ's sakes. Anyway, so I did a 12 litre batch. 93% pale schooner, 7% wheat. Very simple light ale, Strata and Idaho in the hopping, just to give me nice light base, hopefully with enough interest so that it was going to be beer I could drink. And off I ran. I've done the videos of brew day, gone through, done all the discussion about the beer. As I said, so I was planning on doing this full grain to glass video, follow it all the way through and just do it in one block. At mash in temp. Now I've not gone above target, so we'll just come up anyway without too much trouble. But I'm looking to mash at 68, around there. And I've had a bit of an issue. My inventory is telling me I've got flaked wheat. I can't find any flaked wheat, so I'm assuming I just haven't actually taken it off off the inventory. Last time I used it on well, I obviously didn't take it off, so the computer thinks I've still got it. So let's get this up and running again. So I'm going to mash this at 68 for 40 minutes. I'm going to raise it to 75 over half an hour, so I'm aiming for about a 20-minute rest at 75, that sort of vicinity. Last Friday, which was the first time I'd been able to have a beer for like 2 weeks with my surgery, I grabbed it off. The keg had fermented. It sat here on the floor for about 2 weeks, I think, top of my head, and then it went in the fridge before I went to hospital. I threw it in like the night before I went. I pulled another keg out and threw it in so I could get cold and carbonated properly. So I was ready to have tasters. Yeah, when I was back from home, and when I was sitting here like as I am now, and I can't brew, so I was trying to find ways of making some informative, interesting videos for you guys. So I've been sitting in the fridge. So Friday was the first day I could go, okay, it's beer day. So I grabbed myself a glass and I sat down and had a taster. Now, she looks quite nice. It's got a nice enough nose. There's a little bit of fruit. There's some tiny little bit of bubble gum. Some sweet, like a little cherry note on there. But yeah, it smells quite nice. And then bang, I've got this fairly minerally explosion in my mouth, which I'm going to say is not as evident today, which is a good thing. Hopefully maybe it's settling out. Yeah, so the beer had this minerally content. Which it still has, but it's lessened. So the beer it's actually drinking too badly. I can just pick the hops and the yeast expression sort of it's like it's poking out from behind that minerality. But I'm happy that it has settled, because it doesn't mean I've actually got a beer I can look at. So we're going to go a bit ask me out on this video. So as I said, I did the wheat, I did the grain, I mashed up. Mash was a simple step at 68 degrees for 40 minutes, then raised to 75 for 20 minutes. I kept this all fairly simple. Ran through the nano, full volume, brew in a bag. So we went with Strata at 30 minutes in the boil, halfway through the boil. It's our 30-minute edition. 10 grams of Strata. For about 20 IBU, and then about another 10 IBU from Idaho 7 with 10 minutes to go. So I was looking to get some nice fruity notes from both of those. I've not used, Idaho 7 before. So it was new, it was only a little bit, so it's not really the beer to get a good idea of how it went. There's tones there, it's a little bit hard to say what's coming from the hops directly, what's coming from the yeast. I said that minerality is sitting there and it's hiding a little bit. It has left a fairly drinkable beer. So, the minerality, the minerals, the saltiness, where's it come from? Initially, like last Friday when I sat down I drank this beer, like it's Friday now, it's a week later. And I jumped on, I looked at the recipe, I thought, what have I done there? How is that so bad? I looked at the recipe and there wasn't a massive amount of additions made. A couple of grams of calcium chloride, a little bit of gypsum, a basic sort of addition that would make for a lightish sort of a beer. It was not even a 3:1 calcium chloride ratio, but I was thinking, okay, 3 grams or 12 litre batch, maybe the chloride was just pushing a little bit too hard in this batch. It didn't really seem like it was possible. The lactic acid was fine, there was only 2 ml of lactic. I normally run about 4 ml in a full batch, and it doesn't leave any noticeable traces in the beer, so it didn't seem a problem. So I was putting the issue pretty much squarely on the calcium chloride. I sat down, I don't know when it was, might have been Friday night or even Saturday night, and I was looking back over the brew day footage, and lo and behold I come across this. Salt mineral additions to go into there, so I wanted to say, just introduce what's going on in the brew. So yeah, I'll get these in. A little bit of the old vitamin C powder, calcium absorbate, and a little bit of sodium met just to knock out any fluorine or chloramine that's in the water, to make sure we've got a nice clean base to work from. Don't need much of these. About 2 grams of each is plenty. So yeah, I saw that, and I again didn't pick it up on the day. 2 grams of sodium metabisulfate. I thought, no, that can't be right. There's no way in the world I put, but you know, this as I was doing it, I was watching. I heard myself say 2 grams, and I think that's not right. But I watched myself, and I'm watching the amount was going into the, I was measuring out, and I went, yeah, that's just not right. That's way too much. So I jumped on and looked at the recipe again. Bang, there it is, right here. On the Brewfather recipe, 2 grams of sodium metabisulfate. That should have been 0.2 grams. I've used 10 times more than I should have. Now, so straight away, I went into a bit of a panic mode. I'm thinking, shit, have I made poisonous beer? Sodium met on its, as it stands, is a fairly dangerous chemical. It can be very dangerous when it's used incorrectly. It's one of those things, you ingest it directly, it can, it doesn't even need a lot, but you ingest it directly, it can kill you very easily. So be aware of that, if you aren't aware of it, using sodium metabisulfate. In its raw form, if you ingest that, and you don't leave much, like I'm talking like only a couple of grams, there's a very good chance it will kill you within a couple of days. It will fucking shut your liver down and your kidneys. Liver, kidneys, both? Might be the kidneys. I think the kidneys fail. The kidneys can't process. It creates a reaction that creates a chemical in the body, in the process of the body trying to get rid of it. That gets into, I think, pretty sure it's the kidneys. Now, don't quote me. It gets into one of the organs, and basically it cannot process from that point, and that organ will shut down. Even breathing it in can be dangerous as well. So yeah, so straight away I thought, shit, that's not good. I didn't drink much of the beer when I poured it. Like I poured a 360 glass. I took probably 3 sort of mouthfuls out of it and I stopped. And then, so I checked it out. I've gone in, I've done some searching on the sodium met. Turns out, with the amount I've used, it falls within the threshold, even within the thresholds used for beer, where 200 parts per million is sort of the upper limit of where they recommend you should be using it. This works out to be about 180, 175 to 180 parts per million, so it's within that threshold tolerance without any problem. When I looked at the actual food safety data, it shows that 800 to 1,000 parts per million is a safe level for human consumption. But I couldn't actually find any reference to how that was calculated, like how much of it that sort of can you have. So it was like, how much is that going to really tally up? Couple this with the fact that it is my understanding that if you put the sodium metabisulfate in pre-boil, most of it boils off anyway. So it's not active. And I started thinking, I looked into wine. Wine uses upper levels of that, that tolerance level. And that stays in the wine. It's added post-ferment because it protects the wine in the bottle. So I'm thinking, okay, fine, we're good. Yeah, so turns out that that's not that big an issue, but other than the fact that it hasn't done anything positive for the beer. So, but to some degree, I'm going to say, I'm not sure it is completely negative, but in the context it is, because it means I can't now assess this beer correctly. I can't assess the yeast correctly. Add on top of this that the yeast stalled at 1020. And it did not want to budge. It got the 1020, it stopped. And they got there fast. Like, it fermented super quick, 35 degrees. It barreled through it. Got the 1020 and stopped. It was pitched on January 16th at 10:49. It was 10:22 on January 17. So from a measurement at 5:40 on the 16th to 8 o'clock on the 17th, so 26 hours and 40 minutes, it had dropped from 10:49 to 10:22. Okay, so this is 20 hours, 24 hours from pitching, and she's actually slowed down a little bit from where it was earlier in the day, and 27 points in a day. So all good. We went away. That was when I went down the coast and got the missus off on her walking extravaganza up the coast. And I came back on the Sunday. So that was now 5 days later, thinking this thing's done. She was still, it's all over and done with, no problem. I can keep this. 16, yeah, day 6. So we've been at 35 degrees the whole time. So I've just taken a sample off, I've cooled it. Can't say right now I'm won over by that flavour, but this ain't a tasting session. Okay, that's interesting. That's telling me we're at 10:18. It's like, what? So it wasn't done. It was nowhere near done. I added half a pack of Voss dry, which I had in the fridge. Thinking, okay, that'll finish it off. The yeast, you know, has clagged out from that, you know, being that liquid packet that, you know, obviously didn't have much viability. Thought I'd get away with it. Turned out I wasn't getting away with it. So I dropped the Voss on. You know, it didn't do anything. It didn't make any difference. It did not move over the next couple of days. It did nothing. So, effort. Stuck it in the keg at 10:18 and just left it. It sat here on the floor for a little while. I ended up kegging it on the 30th of January, so it was 2 weeks. So from being almost fermented, just over a day, it took 2 weeks to get it out, to actually get it to keg, and it still wasn't finished. So at that point it's like, fucking, what the hell? I was really scratching my head. It sat here for, I said, for 2 weeks on the floor, just sit next on the garage floor. The ambient in here at the moment's, yeah, ranging from sort of 19 to 23, 24 degrees. And then before I went, like I said, just before I went to surgery was the 15th. So the 14th he went in the fridge, so I'd been here for 2 weeks on the floor. It then sat for a week. And I pulled the sample off last week. So this is 2 weeks later. So it's basically a month and a little bit. 4 weeks and a couple of days since it was kegged. Took a sample gravity last week, 10/12. So it had finally decided to finish, and so check up, yeah, nice and clear. It was still a little bit cloudy when I went into the keg. So I said, I thought I'd resurrected it, then back taster and shit. So right now I've got a beer which, although it's drinkable, really is not anything. It's not a light fruity ale, it's not a, you know, not a salty, sour type of finish. It's, yeah, it ends up just a little bit whack. It's not unpleasant. It's a little unique. It's got like it's got a goza sort of feel, without the sort of sourness to back it up. I'm not getting massive craziness from the Kveik, and again, this is what I was really trying to find out. As everyone knows, I sort of slag off a bit on Kveik yeast. It's never really won me over. And I thought I really needed to get this experiment done properly to get around, yeah, to be able to, yeah, really fully commit to that sort of opinion. And it's just gone wrong. Yeast went wrong, and the yeast we could have got around because it did finish itself in the end, so it wouldn't have been an issue. But this bloody sodium met fuck up is just, yeah, killed the whole thing. I've got to say, though, that recipe, as it stands, that beer, I think beautiful little base for, as I said, for a little gozer, saison, a little bit of a table beer. It's a bit strong. As it is, it's 4.9%. You'd want to pull that back for a table beer. But just for a simple sour, I think it'll work. Simple, just a nice saison. Or just a simple, easy drinking summer pale. You know, with an 05 at 15 degrees. I think that's a nice little recipe. So as it stands, I can't give a definitive yes, no, maybe in between on on the Kveik yeast. So I'm going to have to revisit this one at some point. I said there's enough positives in there for me to actually go, okay, I am interested in having another look. But I'm thinking this is the sort. My previous Voss brews have all been using actual dry yeast that came from some fairly original cultures. I've not used Voss from a lab. So I'm wondering whether there is a big how much difference there is between the two. Whether that lab process has taken some of the underlying cultures and character from the Voss to leave it a little bit different, which would to me to some degree explain that disparity between my results and what a lot of other people are talking about. And that wouldn't surprise me, because I think from my original looking at it, Kveik is a fairly characterful yeast, and a lot of the descriptors that people are giving now from packaged yeast is how clean it is. To me, those two don't add up. That's not what Voss is. That's not what Kveik is. It's not a clean yeast. It's a very specific flavour-driven driving yeast. So I'm thinking, has it been cultured and cultivated in a way in the lab to create this clearer, cleaner sort of a finish? So that's something I'm going to have to look at a little bit further down the track again. So that thing I thought I'd ticked off the bloody to-do list, it's now well and truly squarely back on the list. But for now, I've got myself a drinkable beer with a little bit of a different character. I don't know if realistically whether I will keep this or not, or whether this will end up going down the drain. At the moment I'm probably leaning toward it going down the drain, but I am willing to give it another couple of weeks in the keg and see what it does. As I said, it has dropped off considerably in the last week, so I'll give it another couple of weeks before I make a final decision. But yeah, as it stands, I wouldn't be surprised if this one does end up down the drain. So, final word of wisdom on this one, it's not to do with Kveik, it's just to do with sodium met. Be fucking careful with it. Just remember, it's very small amounts that we're using for chlorine and chloramine removal in the brew, and that's what we're using it for. Well, where I'm using it, pre-boil, in the mash. Because you get it wrong, doesn't do your beer any good. So anyway guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Any comments for any questions, stick them down the bottom. But for now, that's me, I'm gone. So till I see you again, and we brewing beer, drinking beer or talking beer, good brewing.